So lately I've been cyber absent, if you can call it that, because to be honest, I've really been feeling this immense weight more and more as I feel and see myself to be a distinct being from another world. You see, I've been on the spiritual path from infancy. Like I came here and my parents always said I was odd. I was even nicknamed Alien. And this isn't to be edgy, it's just genuinely the earliest feelings that I can access in terms of my memory. My memories of childhood and the ways that I felt in childhood. And so as I progress on my path, since I align myself with the desire to know the whole truth and nothing but the whole truth, I am steadily peeling layers of all demiurgic falsity. And this led me to the path of esoteric egoism. It's sort of like the path of no return because it sheds all layers of falsity that has been strategically wired within you, within this Zionistic system. And that's the one path, the only path I see to be successful with entirely annihilating the false program of the Matrix. Esoteric egoism is an esoteric aristocracy, right? It is a holy order that is preordained for the too few. With that comes a specific loneliness that painfully severs you from the collective. It's really challenging to find connectivity anywhere else other than the too few who I've managed to magnetize within these cyberspaces. Because once you've undergone the polar initiation, which if you read Gnos, you know what I'm speaking to, the only way is the path of return. Everything else is so painfully insignificant, but yet you're still forced to partake in the mundane, like paying bills and, average matrix shit. And it just makes it that much more challenging. So you may ask, who are the preordained? Who are the too few? Well, I see them to be a super consciousness that embodies the avatars of the descendants of the Nephilim, aka the fallen angels, aka the Tuatha De Danann, aka the gods and goddesses of the Greek pantheon, right? Like when I say I am Thea, I mean that mythologically, truthfully, soulfully, on an esoteric level, from my most, from the archives of my most ancient memory, right? Like this is the archetypal energy that I have forgotten in Kali's dream, but have awakened to in my polar initiation. And so Thea is a reclamation of my most ancient self, of my most ancient archetype. The re-embodiment of the Aryan archetype is to reawaken one's mythological signature in a new form. This happens via one's blood memory, with the resurgence of the original coding, often on the brink of catastrophe. This is what an actual solar awakening is, a possession of the archetype, as Serrano would say. A process that is facilitated through a black sun alchemy on a journey of return to the origin, only for those Aryan heroes whom are preordained and linked to this specific destiny. This experience feels like a certain death to one's former Matrix personality and character. Only it's impossible to explain to others who are not on the path of return. And so it is here where the Aryan begins to really feel the chasm in their link between two worlds and the challenge in oscillating between both. This is what Serrano meant when he said that the Hyperborean sort of straddles between two worlds, having 1 foot in the second world of involution and 1 foot in Hyperborea. It really is this tug of war, and it is mentally and spiritually taxing. And the relief, ironically, is the catastrophe. And that's why, Savitri Devi has said that those of us who are awakened to the truth of this prophecy anticipate the crumbling of this matrix reality. I just wanted to open with that because I just kind of wanted to touch base on where I've been at and where I go when I'm not present in the cyber world. I know the ones who are me feel me. And so, yeah, I just wanted to speak to that. But this video is about the Renunciation of Sophia. And I see this to be an extreme detriment to the overall advancement of humanity and society as a whole. And this is one of the core reasons as to why we will not progress in this Iron Age. Because there is a very blatant rejection of Sophia, right? And the overall Sophionic wisdom, which is divine wisdom. And so with that, we sort of just, we exist in madness. Loss of the mother influence creates a chaos reality because through that loss, we lose the magic and the memory. As Sophia is the divine feminine, she who holds the keys to the ultimate mystery, for she is the source to the divine wisdom of all everything. And so, to make any sense of this, we got to go to the beginning, right? With the great catastrophe, right? The flood, the reset, the pole shift, the forces which sunk Atlantis, Hyperborea, Lemuria, right? All of these names are synonymous, I feel, for a single paradisal place, right? And that paradise can only exist with the two streams of creation harmonized, right? This is what Odal represents, right? This is what SS represents. I've went over this many times in my stream. When you put two Sig runes together, which are the bolts of creation, both he and she, when you fuse them together, it creates Odal, which is vril, ether, plasma, right? It's the magic that is created through the fusion of the two primal forces of creation, right? The he and the she. Cannot stress this enough. When we lost paradise, it's because we lost the mother influence. Ever since then, we've been starving from that loss, right? Well, those of us who have, kept in contact with the point of origin through a specific memory, but the rest of the world kind of got on without her. And now is so far along that but most of humanity rejects her essence entirely. And you see this blatantly when you are a feminine awakening. The deep awakening phase of the feminine is initiated during her mother phase,
when she graduates from the childlike innocence and overall naivety of the maiden archetype. I see this to be after the prefrontal cortex is fully developed at around 25. But the transition from maiden to mother does not end here, as she still has to undergo her Saturn return, also known as her cosmic life review, at around age 28 to 29. So really, age 30 for a woman marks a significant shift in her immense transformation from maiden to mother. Embodying the mother archetype doesn't necessarily mean that you have to bear children of the flesh, only that you have excelled past the tribulations of the maiden in her mental and spiritual ineptitude and matured into the essence of the mother, embodying her higher essence in selflessness, compassion, and her overall divine wisdom. It is during this phase we truly meet with Sophia in the second spiral of the threefold goddess.
In pagan culture, there is a symbol that represents this feminine journey, right? A journey that is the journey of a goddess awakening, right? And we see this through the symbol of the triskelion. And so the triskelion can often represent the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and birth, life, death, but it also represents for the feminine, the maiden, mother, crone, right? Like the cycle of becoming, the cycle of ending. It's a beautiful symbol. It's a threefold pattern that can be applied to both masculine and both feminine, right? And so maiden energy is the beginning for a girl, right? A young girl. Maiden energy is playful. It is a childlike innocence. It is also a naivety, right? And oftentimes in this predatory reality, the collective sort of preys on the maiden archetype because of her naivety. But when the maiden graduates into the mother archetype, she is often rejected. This is an experience that women in their 30s know exactly what I'm talking about, regardless if they know that it is inherently spiritual. It's something that I suspect many women in their 30s experience because I myself have as well, right? And so just to touch base on my story and experience as a feminine, I remember distinctly approaching my 30s and feeling an exhilaration because there was an innate wisdom within me that assured me that 30s would serve as a sort of initiatory experience, right? It would be a portal of sorts into the next stage of womanhood. And my 30th birthday celebration proved this to be with an absolute certainty. Maybe I'll share the story with you in another video, but for now, just take my word for it. My 30th birthday was a palpable turning point in my life. And this was a turning point that I never feared because I felt that it was something that I was anticipating, in that I knew my soul would be advancing in a destiny that I couldn't quite place when I was in my maiden archetype, right? When I was in my maiden energy. Because again, maiden energy is very childlike. It's naivety. It's like you can sense things, but not with a diamond clarity like you can with mother energy. And so I was excited for my 30s, right? I was like, this is it, the ultimate initiation. And everything led me to the wisdom, the divine wisdom of the mother archetype.
The divine wisdom came to me through the serpent energy of the dragon. It was here that I learned dragon energy is intimately connected to Sophia, as dragon energy is the divine wisdom lost. Interestingly, I've always held an affinity for dragons, as I am a twin born in the year of the dragon. And so it made all the sense to me that the dragon would serve as my guide to the highest gnosis on my transition from maiden to mother. A gnosis that would inevitably awaken the mythological coding Latin within my blood memory. The collective rejection of the mother archetype is the rejection of the primal mother energy, that which is divine wisdom. This is because we live in an anti-mother, anti-magic reality, and therefore those tethered to the world of falsity will reject all facets of the she who embodies her, Sophia, and her divine wisdom. She who is an oracle of otherworldly capabilities, she who is nurturing, compassionate, selfless, a fierce protector in higher guidance, as she is the oracle that guides with divine wisdom. We see this in the societal anomaly when men fear women who hold both beauty and intelligence, for her intelligence is a wisdom that stretches beyond the rational confines of basic knowledge. Her intelligence is pulled from the cosmic well of all truth. It is therefore an intelligence that is highly alchemical. The fallen man is often not prepared for walking through her fires of transmutation, and so he rejects her and chooses Eve, which can be seen as choosing the path that is most easy. Sophionic energy is a power that intimidates the insecurities of the fallen man, and yet her power is the only force capable of his solar redemption.
Carl Jung says that the mother archetype represents the concept of the nurturing and caring mother, as well as the power and wisdom of the divine feminine, right? And so the mother archetype is Sophia, right? It is that Sophionic wisdom, aka divine wisdom, that we've lost in past catastrophe that sunk Atlantis, Hyperborea, and the original memory, right? And so she who holds the key is she who has ignited and resurrected that mother energy, right? That is the gift of the priestess.
When the mother archetype passes the torch to the maiden, initiating her in the transitional advancement in the overall feminine design, this transition affects each woman to varying degrees. Due to the current state of involution, some women only harness the mother energy from the lower bandwidth of the mother archetypal energy, as the qualities of the mother operates from a range of frequencies that transfer to each woman, reliant on her purity and her overall openness to serve as a ripe conduit to the mother's higher energetic frequency. The priestess is an oracle that serves as a conduit for Sophia's divine wisdom. It is she who has not been polluted by the many lies of the Iron Age. She who serves as a divine recipient to the higher gnosis of the mother energy. This is a holy role that is often claimed by charlatans, as the ability to authentically connect to Sophia's divine wisdom must come from a pure channel who has been preordained for this specific destiny. Many women who are still tethered to the defection of the Iron Age claim this title without merit, and this can be exposed when looking to the iron lies that she often upholds. Many false priestesses claim they hold the mystery keys while still being tethered to the demiurgic narratives of anti-ether, anti-magic falsities. The Odinic priestesses of egoism carry the torch of the Magia Sirises of times past, those divine women who tend to the fire of the python serpent, who remember the original memory of soul, Ermin soul. As the maestro has said, these women are divine, or redivinized, who deliver to the hero the treasure, fire, lamp of uncreated light, lapis, quintessence, philosopher's stone, golden fleece, making his resurrection possible. She is distinct from the fallen women of the Kali Yuga, and yet she offers the promise of restoration for all in the coming age of gold. You will know the priestess when you feel the gnosis that she holds contains the alchemical abilities to dissolve all lies of the fallen world. It is an essence that cannot be mistaken. Oftentimes, it is an essence that is silenced and or altogether rejected. However, the path is being made clear for a more collective acceptance of the priestesses of Sophia's divine wisdom, as truly, the world is thirsting for her forgotten wisdom that withholds the lost magic that we so desperately seek. May we always honor the aspects of her that resurrect in the blossoming soul of the divine feminine.
This depraved collective that has so long ago lost the mother influence has now become her very condemners, right? Those who reject her. And so I seen how the collective preys on the maiden, rejects the mother, and altogether abandons the crone, right? Completely annihilating the threefold goddess.
As I ascended beyond the mental and spiritual limitations of the maiden archetype, I began to see how the feminine in her maiden energy is often preyed upon by the predatory nature of lesser men. Yes, the maiden is filled with beauty and youth in her childlike radiance, and yet her naivety is used against her, as the fallen man often chooses her because the maiden does not have the spiritual mastery to challenge the masculine. So more often than not, he chooses her as a reflection of his own mental and spiritual deficiencies in his overall resistance to true spiritual growth. The mother archetype is man's highest alchemy. She is fire in form, and it is here in her ripe essence where she becomes the oracle to ignite man's spiritual advancement into his golden destiny. It is she who inspires the true men of solar intelligence. Tragically, in this age, men have been wired to reject her alchemical essence. The men who reject the mother archetype are the byproduct of a deficient age that doesn't respect the feminine in her advanced alchemical stage. It is true what they say: if she does not scare you a little, she's not the one. The mother energy is alchemical, and so like anything that brings immense change, she can trigger deep-seated fears, as she calls you to face all latent traumas within you for total soul transformation. If accepted, the mother gifts transcendence. All heroes must learn to know that true love is alchemical. It's transformative and therefore intimidating. This is the difference between true love and temporal lust. True love is solar. Temporal lust is carnal. True love is for the heroes. Lust is for the bourgeois. The crone is the embodied wisdom of the sacred triskelion. She often guides the pilgrims on the path through the gnosis of true love. In this Iron Age, the wisdom of the crone is abandoned, as modern man does not revere the priestess nor the seer.
I just aim to, just kind of sit in resonance with my sisters who are in their 30s, who have experienced this distorted narrative when finally coming into their reclamation, coming into their feminine awakening, right? Because as I said, your 30s are such a powerful juncture in your threefold path, and to feel the collective rejection of that mother energy the moment you begin to embody it is very disorienting. It's very confusing. And if you don't know the truth behind this distortion, you can falter into less than desirable characteristics of the fallen feminine, right? You will become bitter. You will take on the archetypal energy of the evil queen, right? And so gnosis is power, right? And so I took a note here via my channeling where I wrote that all disorder, all destruction, all chaos of this world is a result of a reoccurring prototype, that which multiplies itself on the illusion in the world of Maya. That first began with the original sin, when the gods mixed with the daughters of men. This is the renunciation of Sophia, and where it all began, where the divine he chooses Eve, rejecting the sacred feminine. From this harsh and unnatural renunciation, all evil, all chaos stems. The renunciation of Sophia, the renunciation of the mother archetype, of the mother energy, is a reoccurring prototype that will not resolve itself until he recognizes she. And when I mean that when the Orphic he recognizes the Orphic she and chooses her instead of Eve, right? This is going to rectify the original sin, which again is a racial sin. It's when the gods mixed with the daughters of men. As I always say, this is a love story. The journey to return is a love story. It is an Orphic story between the Hyperborean he and the Hyperborean she. And until a story restores itself in the truth of its origin, in the original memory of its natural format, we will experience chaos. We will experience the slow degradation in the world of woe.
It's impossible for anyone outside of this drama to understand this drama, and yet its event and aftermath affect all. We exist in the repetition of a tragedy that created this fallen world of duality. It's possible that he might know, but mostly just she, all alone in the madness of the sin, the awakened divine feminine, she who can now only trust the destiny within the living prophecy that promises the restoration of the original memory.
Victory is not dependent on all masculines within the collective. This only applies to those who are preordained to this specific destiny, right? All it takes is for one Hyperborean he to remember his divine she to initiate the catastrophe that will end this world of misery and resurrect the paradisal reality, right? This is the alchemy that is underway. And it is in sync with the twin sun, right? The black sun and the golden sun, whom were once one. And so as the he and she do their dance in the cosmos, the he and she do their dance within this second world of involution. And it's really what it is. It's a sacred dance. It's a symbiosis that is waiting the perfect reunion to restore all that was lost. The Queen of Sheba is she who holds the key to return to the lost paradisal reality. She is the mother, she is the magic, she is the mystery. And above all that, she contains the memory. And so if we reject her, we reject the original coding. If we reject her, we then reject the memory, right? And it really is blood memory over everything. And this kind of correlates to what I spoke to in the beginning of this stream, where I kind of oscillate between two worlds because I remember my original mythology. I remember the original coding to my most ancient biological story. And so this was all permitted due to my reconnection to the mother energy. And so in closing, I'm going to leave you with profound words spoken by Jason the Argonaut, where he swears on oath to the witch Medea, who happens to be the great-granddaughter of Thea, saying he would be true by the sacred rites of the threefold goddess, right? Because every great pilgrim knows that she is to be revered and never rejected. And so may you remember this on your journey when you come in the face of her renunciation in the repetition of a prototype that began long ago.